I'm going to try to shorten this down to a minute. Buy profession gear. Make sure it has finesse on it. First thing you rush is bismuth, then ironclaw, then acarite, and then mining fundamentals. Herbalism, first thing you rush is Aerithor's spear, lure drop, and then you can decide from there whether you want to go into blossom browser or orbitoid observer. That's it. File a true site. Get you some null stones. If you're going for experience, mine every single node. If you're going for gold, only mine bismuth, Aerithor's, lure drop, and then rich or empowered nodes. That's about it. Profession gear, file a true site. Farm as many null stones as you can. Farm as many rank 3 herbs as you can. That's how I've been leveling all of my characters. I've probably farmed about 2 mil so far from this. I've gotten 8 level 80s from this, so it's very passive gold, just something to do while you're waiting for a BG, but it is very steady and pretty healthy right now. So yeah, thanks for watching. This is like the first YouTube-specific video I've recorded in a very long time. If you guys want to support the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, leave a comment, do whatever. Until next time, take it easy, check out the Twitch. I'll see you guys later. Hey guys, in this video today, I will be making a herbalism and mining guide for you. This guide's kind of going to be focused around general gold making and then also leveling while making this gold. So, I'm going to hop right into it. If you guys haven't already, like the video, leave a comment, anything helps. Dislike the video, like the video, engage with the video. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to start off with showing you guys the little credentials I have. All these characters were leveled with herbalism and mining. I have 8 level 80s. I'll go on my bank character. I've farmed like 8-ish WoW tokens, 7 WoW tokens, and I have about 500k golds just sitting across all my max levels and whatnot. Now that we're on the bank, you'll see 7 WoW tokens, 15k on him. So I've made a good bit of gold doing this, and this is just completely from leveling. I'm not going out of my way to just specifically farm gold for an hour. I really just queue battlegrounds and then fly around and farm gold. I'll go on to warrior, because this is a guy that I'm currently leveling. 71 to 79, 71 to 80. That's kind of what I go for the herbalism mining. So now that we're on my alt that I'm currently leveling, I'll kind of show you guys the setup here. A few prerequisites to this kind of guide though. If you guys don't know, there's 2 treasures for every gathering profession in each zone. So 8 total. 2 in this zone for mining, 2 in this zone for herbalism, and so on for every zone. If you guys don't know where those spawns are, just Google it. There's a lot of guides out there that show you where the spawns are. I've memorized them by now, and you will likely do that as well if you level a lot of characters this way. You're going to go farm out all those profession knowledge points. I think you'll get about like 30 from there. After that, you're going to want to use Artisan's Acuity in the crafting order area. But first, let's talk about the skill points, guys. Let's talk about not acquiring the skill points right now. Like I already told you about the treasures, let's talk about what we're spending them in. We're spending them on the bismuth. Bismuth is worth the most gold out of all the mining nodes right now. Rank 3 bismuth is worth like 220 gold right now, so you want to maximize getting rank 3 bismuth. You do that by having as high as mining skill as you can. Also, get high finesse gear, and also gets that Kazalgar mining profession gear as well. Same thing with herbalism. Finesse, get that full set of gear. It's probably like 10k gold, but it's definitely worth the investment. If you can't get finesse, get perception. If you can't get perception, get deafness. Finesse is the best, perception second, deafness is last. So aside from that, you're going to want to go into bismuth. Once you can learn a second sub-specialization, you want to go into acarite or ironclaw, whichever one is more, I guess, prevalent in whatever zone you're farming in, and I'll talk about farming routes here soon. But you want to go into these 2. Bismuth is worth the most, so you want to go into that first, just like the raw material itself. But the reason you go 45 out of 45 is you get null stones. Anytime you get a fractured, imperfect null stone, this talent makes it so you get a normal null stone. So instead, say if I got a null stone from a bismuth node, if I didn't have 45 out of 45, it would be an imperfect null stone. If I do, it'll be a normal null stone, and that's a 500% gold increase. You want to maximize the availability of getting these null stones, and you do that by going fully into whatever specialization you're looking to go into, whether it's Ironclaw, Bismuth, or Acarite. So first thing you do, unlock those null stones from all the mining nodes. After that, max out the skill points in here, because the more skill points you have, the higher chance you have of getting a rank 3 Bismuth. This also applies to herbalism, which I'll explain here shortly. Once you're fully spec'd out into this, you're going to want to go into mining fundamentals, get 60 out of 60 here so you can mine while mounted, and then into rich deposits. Seams I don't think are really useful. I mean, I've mined a few of them. I'm not even going to talk about elemental overload. If you're getting to this point, you have a ton of profession points, and I would go outlawed techniques and then webbed and weeping. That's my advice. But that's the talent kind of point prio. Bismuth, Ironclaw, Acherite, Plethora of Ore, mining fundamentals, and then finally rich deposits. And then at that point, you really don't have to care about it too much and just spec into whatever. Going to herbalism, same thing here. The thing that's really valuable about herbalism is the rank 3 green herbs. Lure Drop, Aerothors, Orbinoids, Blessing Blossoms. Rank 3 Lure Drops, I believe, are about 400 gold. Rank 3 Aerothor Spears are worth about 500 gold right now. So you really want to do your best to farm those. Again, you get those by having high skill point in herbalism. The higher skill point you have, the more likelihood you have of looting a rank 3 item. And then, of course, this talent increases that. For every 1 point you spend into here, you get +1 skill total. And when you go into Aerothor Spear, you get +1 skill into Aerothor Spear specifically. So if you do the math right here, like we have 118 normal skill, +15, whatever that is, and then plus another 40. So like, I'm just rounding the numbers, but we're at like 170 plus skill for Aerothor Spear, which is why we want to try to get that rank 3 Aerothor Spear, because it's worth so much gold. And that's why we're going for so many skill points. Same thing applies to everything else in this kind of category. We want as many rank 3 mats as possible. Lure Drop is the second one you want to go into, and then after Lure Drop, I'd check the auction house. Right now it seems like Blessing Blossom is better, but check the auction house before you spec into another profession talent tree here. But Aerothors first, then Lure Drop, and then either Blossom or Orbinoids, and then finally Myco Bloom. Once you're fully spec'd out into this, you can go into Botany, just to mine while mounted if you don't have Sky Golem. Once you're fully spec'd into this, I would be going into Mulching. Cultivation, I don't know how I feel about the seeds, really. In previous expansions, seeds have been pretty shitty, so I don't really run that. That's not a bird out there, guys. You're mishearing things. So, hold on. Okay. So now let's talk about Elemental. Elemental really doesn't matter. All of them kind of suck. Just don't go into Crystallized. Crystallized is worth like 2 gold right now. Weeping and Spore Fused is worth like 50, and Irradiated is worth about 150 as far as I know. But yeah, go into Aerothors, go into Lure Drop, and then go into Blessing Blossom. Now that we've kind of covered all the talent trees, we've covered the treasures you're supposed to farm, we've covered profession, items / gear that you should have, let's talk about routes. I've only done 2 routes. I just started going to Hollowfall. Hollowfall, I like hovering around every place except this little section right here. Excluding this section. So all of this, all over here. Kind of just an upper circle of like the upper half and then this little area down here of Hollowfall. If the spawns get really bad, you can stop only circling the upper zone and go towards the lower zone as well to reset those spawns, and then go back to farming the upper zone of Hollowfall. That's my route for Hollowfall. The zone I've been leveling in. Hollowfall's better gold. Let me phrase this. Hollowfall is better gold because of the Bismuth spawns, the Lure Drop spawns, and the Aerothor Spear spawns. But the spawns are less plentiful. But those are like some of the only nodes that spawn in this zone. I mean, there's Ironclaw, there's Acherite, there's Blessing Blossom, but for the most part, it's mostly Bismuth, mostly Aerothor Spear, mostly Lure Drop. This is if you want to farm gold. If you just want to farm a lot of experience and level extremely fast, this is the route I've been going. You go to Dornogal, and you just circle. You circle south, go around this mountain over here, go around this Freywood mountain over here. There's tons of spawns in this zone. Just like the node density here is crazy, and if you're going for XP, just pick everything up. And the farthest east I go is Boulder Springs. Once you hit Boulder Springs, just circle back around, do the zone all over again. I leveled all of my level 80s this way. I think this warrior's the first character I'm leveling through Hollowfall, grinding-wise, just because I want the gold, more so than the experience. But this is the Isle of Dornogal, whatever the top zone is, I don't know. Whatever it's called. Isle of Dorn. This kind of southern, southwestern area. 2 Boulder Springs, Hollowfall, kind of the upper half of the zone. Those are the routes I go. If you watch the Twitch, you'll learn the routes. I mean, that's all I do. I just farm the routes and I wait for battlegrounds. So check out the Twitch if you haven't already, if you guys really want to see the routes. I'm going to go into Artisan's Acuity, because that is a little finicky, and I will talk about it here shortly, back on the Druid. Alright, so now that we're back on the Druid, I'm going to talk about Artisan's Acuity. For herbalism and mining, there's really only one way to spend this. As soon as you hit this zone, there will be a quest from this person. You accept the quest. It's literally, you just literally have to right-click this guy and the quest gets completed. You go back to this lady, you turn in the quest. I think you can choose between disenchanting mats, mining mats, and herbalism mats. It might be skinning too. I always chose the mining mats, just because it's like 50 bismuth. Doesn't really matter what you choose, but you'll get Artisan's Acuity, which is this expansion's profession. I don't know. I don't even know what to call this. Whatever. Artisan's Acuity. You go over here. You're not going to have... There will be 200 cost points. There's 300 cost, 400 cost, and 200 cost. You're only going to be able to buy one. Say you buy the mining one. You use it. Once you use it, you'll get enough Artisan's Acuity from a fresh level 71. Once you use that one book, you'll get enough Artisan's Acuity to buy another book. And then you buy the other 200 cost notes. Use both of those. You'll have a lot of artifact knowledge. Sorry, profession knowledge. You should have enough profession knowledge to the point where you're almost capped out in bismuth, which means as soon as you start farming, you should be able to just immediately get null stones. You might have to farm a little bit to get some skill ups on the profession, but you should be like 40 out of 45 if you spec properly. 10 points into here, 45 into here. That's the first thing you rush. Something to also note, which I completely blanked out on, buy Files of True Sight. Files of True Sight gives you extra perception and lets you see camouflaged mining and herbalism nodes. One thing to note is if you do join rated PvP, this completely disappears and it kills the buff. If you join random BGs, the buff stays on you. Even if it... The only reason the buff would expire in a random BG is because the duration of the buff actually went to 0. Other than that, it will stay on you. Rated Battlegrounds is not the same, but... By these files, you'll see a lot more herbs, and the gold per hour is probably doubled with these files. So be sure to grab those. But, yeah.